Welcome, everybody, to a new build study. If you don't know what a build study is, it's pretty much just like it sounds. We take notes from somebody else's build, and we learn from them. So today, I've got behind me a castle built by SystemZee. Links below, linking to his channel and whatnot. F5. So yeah, this is a castle built by SystemZee. And it's not particularly fancy. I mean, it is, but it's, as far as castles go, it's fairly simple, which I love. And I actually talked to him, and he mentioned, I told him that I wanted to do a build study on this, and he said, okay, but go easy on me because it's rough. And that's what's amazing to me is, even if you think this is rough, if there's things that you don't like about it, little details, this is still clearly an appealing build. Oh, hello, tree. Which tells me that you can get by with not necessarily having the most beautiful build, or most beautiful details, rather, as long as, on a large build, as long as the layout and theme are 10 out of 10. So that's kind of what we're going to touch on. Now there might be little details that you can take, like just looking at it, you can see that he has these towers that are, well he uses sort of a stone base for everything. So there's, the bottom half is pretty much all brick, and then it's like this brick is housing the parts of the castle. So it obviously has its little details where, his little tower right here out of stone isn't straight up. It's to the side, and it's kind of random and whatnot. But it's not, entirely crazy. There's no, it's all blocks. There's no stairs. There's some stairs here, but there's no windows. There's no wood until you get up to here. And even these up here, I was looking at this stuff, and this stuff's not even particularly crazy, and I think that he built this in his own texture pack, which I'm going to switch over to. So then I was looking at these parts of the castle where it's wood, and this part's not even, this doesn't even... I've talked in a previous build study where I don't necessarily care for the use of a fence like this just on the side of buildings. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. This circular shape isn't particularly fancy. There's just a block taken out for a window. There's no fancy window or anything. Although here, just like we learned from our last build study, which was of a medieval inn, they didn't have to go in and out with the wall to create depth. They just used, both styles used a very similar style. I don't know if you'd call this a roof, but this line of wood here, very similar, achieves pretty much the same thing. So, that being said, the details aren't what he focused on, and he made that clear. I don't know if this is how it's supposed to look, because I know for a fact that he recently added this texture to his texture pack, and I'm pretty sure that that's actually half slabs. So I know that that's not necessarily right. I'm on his server, by the way, link below. So what makes this build good? Well, I'd say that it's number one, theme. It's clearly being half stone and then being wood up here draws more attention to this top half of it. When you're looking down here, it's kind of hard to make out what all the stone's supposed to be. I mean, yeah, it's a building, but what is it? So it kind of draws attention to up there, which, if you're down here and walking, is pretty neat. It makes you want to look up, and it kind of... The fact that it's just this massive stone around here kind of makes it seem pretty massive, I think. Yeah, it draws interest up there. It definitely does. I can agree with myself on that. Yes, Nodak, you made a good point. It's clearly very fantasy influenced. The fact that the towers are not straight, the fact that the roofs are... He does this a lot. You can see he has a little town down here, and he finds 2 light-colored blocks, clay blocks, and he'll just mix them. And it's not even a perfect symmetrical shape. It's very random. Up here it looks to be symmetrical, I think. Down there it's not. But up here it is. Anyways, very exaggerated roof. If you're flying up here, it's pretty much what the first thing that you see, and then topped off with a contrasting flag. So it's heavily themed, that much is clear. But even if you have a good theme, so if you're building something like this, I'd say come up with a theme, come up with a color palette. That's part of the theme. So he had obviously stone, and that's going to be a good part of most of your typical medieval or fantasy style castles. Looks like he picked out a wood, picked out jungle. I don't know exactly why. It does contrast a bit, and it looks nice with this spruce. And then he picked out his roof color, which really brought it out. I think that if he had used regular wood, I don't know. This is his style. This is just what he does. I think if he had just used a regular wood roof, he'd have to do something pretty special with it instead of just a cone roof, or else it would not be quite as appealing. Then the other thing, other than theme, is layout. I have to get back a little bit and look just to see the layout. So the interesting thing is most of it's off the ground. If we go down here, there's a stairway right here, and you can walk around the base of it just right here. The base of this part is not very large at all. There's a sort of housing part right here, which is actually open to the outside a little bit. Maybe because it's on server, he wanted it to be like that. You could easily close this in to be an indoor area. So he only has one area that's really on the ground. Even this part is just a gate to the entrance, I guess. But you can go right in the middle, and it's open. It's lifted off the ground. So it's lifted off the ground, and then he basically came up with looks like kind of like legs, right? So there's a tower. There's these pillars, which everything is very random, which I love it. It gives it a very broken down feeling. And then it just kind of fondles the rest of the castle, if you will. There is a main tower, which I think is important. So he has a main tower. There are lower sections to the roofs, which I think is important. You have those varying heights. And then he has 3 different... oh gosh. Okay, we're just gonna let the mood set itself, because I don't have permission to turn off the rain on his server. I am a mod here, but apparently I don't have permission to turn off the rain. So, okay. Anyways, like I was saying, he has his main tower, his varying roof lines, so he has roofs way down there. And then these 3 are all varying. Are these 2 the same height? They appear to be the same height, but they could easily have been different heights. If this one... They are, like, this one, they are the top of them the same height, but they aren't the same length. So all in all, none of his building sections are the same length or height combination. I think that's important. And then let's take a look at interior layout. I'm not even sure how you're supposed to get in it, or if you even can get in it from the ground. Z. This isn't a very practical castle you have here. So you can fly up here, and there's this bridge that's connecting the tower to the main one. and it's pretty much self-explanatory how he lays some of this stuff out. You know, this for a guy who pushes interior detail on everyone on his server, this is quite disappointing. So we go over to this one, and again, he pretty much just filled the space. Doesn't really have a way to go up. There's a throne here, you know. Filled it with pretty much clutter. So the interior we're not going to really look at. I mean, I know Z can do better than this, so I'm not going to judge him too harshly on this, but it doesn't look like there is a way to get in it. So if you're building one of these for yourself, I definitely give yourself a way to get into the building. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe Z has a zombie protection program here where they can't get up to him if he can't get up there either, or if there's no way up there, I don't know. So as far as layout goes, it's aesthetically pleasing. If I were to build this in survival, I'd definitely enclose it. I'm sure he would too. This was built with the server in mind, I think. I'd definitely make this closed in and have it connect to the upper section. So let's just say that you've taken all those notes. You've started with, you know where you want your main tower, and let's say that you have like a side tower and some towers jutting off, and you have, you know, this bottom section, and it's all varying in height, and it's all got your color palette that you've chosen. So where do you go from there to make it from just, you know, your typical castle to what Z has built here? How do you take it to the next step? So the first thing I think, you know, something that really stands out to me, we touched on this, but these things, these rings that go around here really add a lot of interest to the tower section of the castle in particular, because this is such a conglomeration of just brick that you almost can't even tell. Just seeing if that was the room that we were in or something else that's not accessible. You almost at a glance, it just looks like brick. Like, you can't really tell if there's any sort of floor plan. You can't really tell where it's all leading to, what the idea is. Ooh, there's a little section right here. Yeah, Z, a little bit disappointing. That's an interesting chair design, though. That I like. And then down here, oh! And we're back in, oh, so there was a door that I missed. So there is a little bit more thought to his layout, to his doors and his pathways than I thought. But this adds interest to this part of the build in particular, drawing it away from here, which I think is important because these roofs are, you know, attention grabbing to the point where if this was a plain wall, you would definitely feel like this area was unfinished. If I were to have built these towers, or if I were to help build or take this and then add my own touch, I'd probably do something more with these windows. I definitely think more could be done with these fences. I'm just not a real big fan of it. Maybe bring out some of these logs so that they're jutting out more, so that they add some depth. That's all personal preference. Good thing Z had all the flags going in the same direction, although they are all the same. I don't care for that. I do like to mix up my flags so that they're all different. So after you've detailed out your castles, and by the way, his castles are very, very symmetrical, or the towers are very symmetrical. This side is pretty much copied and pasted from this side. And this is pretty much the same all around. When you have a large scale building like this, I don't think that's so important that, one, you go crazy on the detail, and two, well, we touched on that, and two, that it varies a whole lot. I think that keeping a theme very consistently is important. So something else I notice here is We mentioned that this is very much a conglomeration of stone. He has it coming up, like encroaching on some of this build in places like a virus almost. Like here, it's just like, it comes from here, and then I guess that's in line with the bridge. It doesn't really make much sense there, but here, it just like breaks up the monotony. If that were just spruce, that breaks it up. I had seen something before that it seemed a bit more random. Here, I guess that's in line also with this ring. When I looked at it from back here, it almost looked like he was just expanding the brick. But he does, bring it up and down and up and down and up and down, one block at a time. So if you're finding that you like this idea of the stone being the foundation to these towers, but it's a little bit boring, perhaps adding in this fluctuation of height could be a fix for you. So if you come down here, you can actually notice that he mixes up his theme a little bit, or rather, these wood sections down here are not following the same rules as down there. He's got trapdoors here, which you do not see any of up there, which you could fit them in probably. You'd have to redo something with these probably. Or I'm sure you could find a way, but he's got them down here and not up there. Does he have them only over there? No, he carries that theme out pretty much throughout the whole bottom of it. So he's got like tiers of detail tricks that he uses. Trapdoors down here, not allowed up there. These little jutting support beams down here, not seeing them up there. These big windows, there's one there. I think there's one right here. This shape right here, I think that's a gable roof, or maybe I'm getting that mixed up with another. Definitely don't see that up there. So he does have two different roof styles. If you've watched any of my other tutorial buildings, a particular instance I can think of is in my 10 tips for farming villages, for detailing farming villages. I mentioned how you want to, and collectively as you play and you build, especially if you're in survival, you kind of pick up tricks and you start reusing them, and you want to like use them in a theme. And he does that plenty here. And then he's kind of got like separate themes for this one, separate detail theme for these towers, and then for the stone. Well, even if you figure out all that, so figure out these little detail tricks that you have, and we all have them. If you're an advanced builder, or you've worked on large projects before, you've got little things that are your go-to thing that you just like to throw down on every building. At least I do. There's definitely things that I just are go-to for me when I'm like, this is boring. What if we try this trick? And that's kind of just where you get your style, right? That's where he gets his roof here. That's where he gets his staggered buildings. See, the walls are kind of staggered on all of these. That's where he gets his style. Thank you, Rain. Enough mood. So, apply your own touches to something like this. Just figure out some detail tricks that you want to use in repetition. So don't think of it as, I've got this whole castle. And by the way, a lot of builders do build it in a very simple way. Like this whole cylinder would just be jungle planks, and then they flesh out the details. You can do that. Don't think of it like, oh, I've got to think of a cool detail for right here. I've got to think of a detail for here and here. Think of something like this ring. Ooh, I thought of a roof ring thing. Let's bring it all across here, and we can repeat that here, and we can repeat it in stone here. And oh, we need a new block. We can throw in some logs here. If you think about it that way, this looks like a large building right here with at a glance. Looks like complex detail. And then you think about the fact that it's a cylinder of jungle wood, and he had added a few spheres. He added some layers of wood. He added in these very simple windows. They could not be any more simple. And then topped it off with these fences. You think of it like that. It really doesn't seem that hard at all. And then he does get a little bit more liberal with his details down here, of course. So even once he did that, now this whole little island right here is just fleshed out with detail. Especially this town side over here. But what does he do to set a build? So you new guys, this might be something that you struggle with, and you guys that have been building for a long time, you've probably noticed this. Sometimes people build this really nice building, and then they leave the building. Just the building, and they're done. And it looks like so much wasted potential. Z doesn't stop there, as you shouldn't either. If you've built something and you don't like it very much, or you're like, well, this part's pretty boring, add some things to the outside. So he's got custom trees here, obviously. Looking at this tree right here does not look like it was generated with the rest of the trees. This looks like something Z built, and maybe he didn't know what to put right here on this wall, or maybe he just, he got tired of looking at all this jungle wood, and then he's like, well, we can break this up with this tree down here. Maybe he was, he just had, I'm guessing that he came down to this area and he saw just grass. He saw his little stone wall right there and his path, and he's like, well, we have a free space right here, and it just feels incomplete. He does this a lot, throwing these little roofs and then put hay under them, put crates under them. I'm willing to bet if you come over here that he's done it somewhere else. He did it right here. You see how small it can be? That's just 2 or 3 blocks out from the wall, and it's almost like an extension to the roof in a different material. And then he does another tree here. He's got his lamp design here, which is pretty nice. I'm not a huge fan of these giant lamps unless you're going for a really big build. Otherwise, they can be pretty out of place, at least in my experience. He makes this side more interesting by having a house here. He's got more trees that look like he built it. These look like the exact same trees. Did you just copy and paste them? I'm on to you. Down here, it looks like this would have been just a wall of stone, but it's a lot of vegetation covering it. He's got this prison here, which on the server we can actually use to teleport players if they're being naughty and then they can't get out. This little gate here, this walkway, it all adds to it. He breaks up the monotony of this stone with little windows. So even once you've worked out your details, then okay, so I'm working this out in my head as we go. This is a build study. I didn't really take notes beforehand. I've seen this plenty of times before, but I didn't really take notes. So I'm learning too. That's the important part of this. So what I'm gathering, if I were to want to build a castle soon, which I might, I would want to figure out the layout. I'd probably sketch it out, to be honest. Figure out what I want to look like. I'd get this layout, and then, build these cylinders for the towers, do the roofs, and then I'd figure out these little detail things that I want to put in that can be recurring everywhere, and, you find one thing and it goes all over, and that makes a big difference. And then I would focus on unique areas. So this one tower is unique to the others because of its size, kind of, and because it's the focal point. So he's got this unique detail, this unique to the rest of it, at least. of this stripe of stone right there. This area down here, clearly unique, and it's the entrance, so it's pretty glamorized and whatever. And then he goes to the inside, which is where players spawn. So this was his focal point, kind of. When you log on for the first time, you're right here. And you see a few ways to go, and they all look different. Down there, you can explore. Over there, coming soon sign, but it does draw your attention because it's clearly a room. And then a few portals over there. And you look up, and there's unique designs right here. This lamp design, I don't think he uses this anywhere else, just hanging like that. He does keep more of a rule within the inside though, whereas outside he's more free to keep it asymmetrical and whatnot. If you're thinking about the overall layout, don't keep it like not just the layout of this part or the layout of this part, the overall layout. Keep it asymmetrical if you want. Well, I should say, ooh, that fits the style, because there are definitely like cathedrals fit my mind, but you know, when you see a lot of those big cathedrals that are built, they're really like all out on detail. So I think that's a case of building a castle and not paying as much attention to the theme and the layout and going for detail, whereas this is like the opposite. So there's like two ways that you can make a castle, right? And then what else? What else? What else did you hide in here? What's so rough that you're worried about me finding? Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like these either, because that's the roughest thing to me. Oh, here's a fun little detail. If you watch my Let's Play, then you know that I like to do things that are, or I frequently talk about how your eye should follow a path of from most important to least important, and the things that are least important are most important, sort of, right? So, okay, they're least eye-catching, but they're important because it makes you feel like the world is very large. So you see this, your eyes go all over, and then let's just say that you find this right here, which is a little prison that he has. There's no way in there, no way out, but it's just tucked away. Now, if I didn't know about that being there, and I didn't know about this area, this island, and I found that, I'd think, what other secrets are around here? Can I go down here and find like a little cave that he's left over here? Oh, you can go down here and find Oxo, and that certainly wasn't the first thing that I saw. And Z, this boat's pretty rough. I mean, it's cute. Actually, it's cute. I take that back. That's cute. Not everything has to be totally fleshed out with detail to be cute, right? But anyways, I love it. I love that. Ooh, he uses a different kind of wood down here too. He's got this little wheat field here, little fence. Yeah, he definitely tucked some things away. You can go over here, another little wheat field. So there's little things to find, and if you're going for like a town, I think that's very important. Look at all these, me trying to use commands. I think that's very important for immersion's sake. Even over here, I haven't really looked around this place a whole lot. Wow, this house is really tall. I like this one. This one kind of takes notes from the castle. A lot of these do, I guess. It's like wood set on stone. Maybe we can have another episode where we just look at these houses. This one's about the castle. I know there are a few other things over here. I don't know if he made them or if he took this island somewhere else. He does have these little waterfalls over here, which I think players are able to put boats here, and you aren't able to destroy any of them because this is like a no permission area for anyone. So he definitely needs to clean it out, but there's like these waterfalls. I don't know if he put them there again, but if you're building, then it's definitely like he's got a good contrast of a city over there and and nature over here. Something that I'm really impressed. I'm not necessarily talking about the details of the town, but in the grand scheme of the castle and the town kind of go together. He doesn't have that many buildings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 buildings. That's not a whole lot. I'd be willing to bet that I have close to that in my Let's Play in the current town that we're working in. But if I'm walking down around here, it feels like there's so much to explore. He did a really good job on that. Just everything's super enclosed. That might be why. Because it's not super open, so you can't see everything at once. I bet what it is you could be on this side and you're like, oh, this is a unique view. And then you're over here and you're like, well, this is a completely new area too. When in reality, that's the same house, just different sides, but it's completely different fields because of the way that's enclosed. Very interesting, Z. I gotta stop looking at your towns. I'm getting too many notes from that and not from your castle. So let's go over what we learned real quick. If you're building a castle sort of like this, number one thing I do, figure out your theme. Figure out if you want fantasy, if you want it to be like a big stone keep. Figure out your color palette. Do you want it super colorful? And what makes it unique? I think a lot of people build castles in just stone and then they wonder why it looks so bland. Or maybe, hi, there's a player here. Maybe they don't use everything super appropriately. Or accent colors, whereas this is like very clearly an accent color and very vibrant and I think it's used well. So figure that stuff out. Figure out your general layout. You want parts of the buildings to be down here. You want a main section possibly, if you're going for something like this. And then you want smaller sections that can be all on their own, like in a tower like that. Or they can be shooting out from the main part. And then I'd give them each a purpose. These towers are not that unique, to be honest, Z. But if you're building for yourself, this can be like a wizard tower, right? This can be like a bedroom or something. I guess this is his bedroom. So I guess he doesn't do a horrible job of that. And then find ways to work out these reoccurring details, and then find a way to mix it up. Down here, we've mixed it up. And think about the ground view. I think not enough people do this. You definitely get a different feel. It's more intricate down here, and obviously this is on a server that you can fly around on, but it's definitely not as intricate up here, where you wouldn't even, down here you can't even see it really. You can see that it is a castle up there, but it's definitely not as intricate as this. Really, Rain? So you've got your layout, your theme, you've got your reoccurring details, and I think it's time to flesh it out with completely unique things. Things that aren't reoccurring at all, or part of the theme. Things on the outside, pathways, like just looking at this, I can point out this bridge right here is unique to the whole thing. This trim right here is unique to it. This right here is a unique detail. These little side things are kind of unique details in themselves, even though they're a major part of the build. This tower is a unique detail. So it's a good mixture of recycling things and mixing in things to keep it from just being copy-paste towers and whatnot. So I think we learned some good things here. If there's anything that you'd like to learn how to build, or you think that there's a specific build that you'd like to learn more about, you look at it and you think, man, this is a really good build. I wish I could do that. But you're not sure what makes it good, then let me know in the comments and I can take a look at it and I'll consider it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.